The night was calm over Earth, but far above the sky something was watching. It began with a signal. At first it was only a whisper of numbers, caught by a satellite drifting in orbit. The computers flagged it as strange, then as impossible. Scientists gathered around glowing screens, their eyes wide with confusion. This was no random wave from space. It was too precise, too sharp, like a ticking clock. For hours the message repeated, steady and cold. It pulsed across the airwaves like a heartbeat. People in the control room could feel it in their chests. A young technician leaned forward and whispered what no one wanted to say. It was a countdown. Panic spread in silence through the highest levels of government. Astronomers across the world checked their data again and again. The numbers were always the same, marching down toward zero. The media did not know yet, but leaders and generals already felt the weight of dread. Something was coming. When the countdown reached its final hour, the skies changed. First came shadows moving across the stars. Then came light, blinding and fierce. The sun dimmed behind vast shapes. Alien ships, enormous and black, descended into orbit. They were not sleek or beautiful. They were built for war, towering like mountains of steel. The Earth itself seemed small beneath their presence. The world trembled as every screen, every radio, every device came alive at once. A single voice spoke in a language that somehow every human could understand. The sound was deep, mechanical, and merciless. People of Earth, surrender. Your world is ours now. Across cities and villages the message repeated. Some dropped to their knees, praying. Some cried out in fear. Others stood frozen, unable to believe what they were hearing. But there was no mistake. Humanity had been invaded. Above the atmosphere, one of the alien ships unleashed a weapon. A beam of burning energy cut through the sky, striking the ocean. Steam rose higher than clouds, boiling waves into nothing. It was not an attack for conquest. It was a warning. A reminder of what these visitors could do. In New York, the streets erupted in chaos. Cars crashed as people fled. In London, church bells rang without human hands to pull them. In Beijing, millions poured into shelters while military sirens screamed. Around the world fear became a living thing. Yet hidden inside that fear, something else was taking root. Anger. Leaders gathered in secret bunkers. Screens flickered with maps of alien positions. Generals shouted, advisors argued, presidents and prime ministers demanded answers. Could they fight back? Could they survive? Most weapons seemed useless against ships that large. But even as fear gripped them, no one spoke of surrender. Humans had never been good at surrender. High above, the alien fleet watched the planet burn with panic. To them, Earth was already won. They had conquered countless worlds before. Always the same. Always quick. Civilizations bent the knee and were forgotten. But this time, something was different. These humans did not bow. In a hidden base buried under rock, a single phrase echoed through a dark room. It is time for Project Aegis. The words carried weight. Project Aegis was not known to the public. It was not even known to most soldiers. It was humanity's secret, prepared for the day when Earth would face an enemy from the stars. While families huddled together in fear, while streets burned and skies thundered with alien power, in the shadows of command centers a decision was made. Earth would not surrender. Earth would fight. The countdown had ended, but a new clock had begun. A clock of survival. The alien fleet did not know what was waiting for them. They did not know the fury they had awakened. Humanity was many things, flawed, divided, fragile. But there was one truth the galaxy was about to learn. Humans never gave up without a fight. As the alien ships hovered like dark gods above the world, a silence swept across the Earth. The voice of invasion still echoed in the air. Your world is ours now. But deep inside every human heart, another voice answered, a voice of defiance. Not yet. The invasion began with fire. 3 alien ships broke formation and moved lower into the atmosphere. One shadow passed over New York. Another slid over London. The third blotted out the skies above Beijing. People looked up in terror as the ships hovered like floating cities of steel, larger than anything humans had ever built. Then the weapons came. Bolts of burning light rained down, tearing through towers and bridges. In seconds whole districts turned to rubble. The earth shook under each strike. Sirens wailed, people screamed, streets filled with smoke and dust. Humanity's greatest cities were under attack. Fighter jets rose from airbases to meet the threat. Pilots locked onto targets, missiles streaked through the clouds, but the alien ships shimmered with invisible shields. The weapons exploded against the barriers like sparks against a wall. Commanders shouted over radios, demanding more fire, more missiles, but nothing seemed to break the alien defenses. In London, soldiers fired rockets from rooftops, their blasts echoing across the city. In New York, tanks rolled through broken streets, their cannons aimed at the sky. In Beijing, anti-air batteries launched a storm of missiles, filling the night with trails of fire. Yet all of it was useless. The alien shields glowed, absorbed the strikes, and the ships pressed forward without slowing. The world watched in horror. News cameras broadcast the destruction live. Families huddled in shelters, clutching each other as cities burned. Many thought the end had come. Many believed Earth would fall within hours. But in the middle of that despair, something changed. Humanity did what it had always done. It adapted. Generals across the globe made a decision. Enemies would no longer remain enemies. Old rivalries meant nothing now. Borders no longer mattered. In secret command rooms, hands shook across screens and agreements were made in seconds that once would have taken years. The United States, China, Russia, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, all would fight together. Humanity would unite. From the depths of hidden silos, new weapons were prepared. Not ordinary missiles, but railguns, giant cannons powered by magnetic fields, capable of firing projectiles at speeds faster than sound. For years they had been tested in silence, never revealed to the public. Now they would be used for the first time, against an enemy from the stars. Above the Pacific Ocean, an experimental orbital satellite awoke. It rotated slowly, its long barrel locking onto the alien ship above New York. With a flash brighter than lightning, it fired. The projectile cut through the sky and slammed into the alien shield. For a moment nothing happened. Then the shield flickered. Pilots saw it and cheered. They fired again, and again. The alien ship adjusted, trying to rise higher, but it was too late. A squadron of human jets dove in, releasing a storm of missiles at the exact moment the shield failed. Explosions ripped across the alien hull. Fire poured from the massive vessel. The impossible had happened. Humanity had drawn blood. The wreck of the alien ship crashed into the sea, sending waves roaring against the coast. People watching across the world erupted into cheers and tears. For the first time since the invasion began, hope sparked in their hearts. The aliens were not gods. They could be hurt. High above, the rest of the fleet watched. The alien commanders stared at the loss in disbelief. Their voices trembled with confusion. This had never happened before. In 100 conquests across the galaxy, no world had resisted like this. No species had ever struck down one of their ships. The alien broadcast voice returned, colder now, dripping with anger. Humans. You resist. You defy. You suffer. The voice cut off, replaced by silence. But that silence was louder than any threat. Across the world people shouted in defiance. Soldiers reloaded, civilians armed themselves, leaders spoke with fire in their words. Humanity was no longer just surviving. Humanity was fighting back. What the aliens did not know was that every moment of resistance was being watched. Their fleet carried live feeds of conquest that transmitted back to the wider galaxy. Dozens of alien civilizations, conquered long ago, now stared at their screens in shock. For the first time they saw something different. A young race standing against impossible odds. A young race refusing to kneel. Whispers spread across the stars. Who are these humans? The battle for Earth had only begun. High above the Earth, inside the command core of the alien fleet, silence spread like a shadow. The destruction of one of their ships had stunned them. For the first time in generations, the invaders had lost a vessel in combat. The commanders stared at the broken streams of data, their glowing screens showing fire and wreckage. The loss was not possible. It was not logical. They had studied Earth before arrival. Primitive technology. Divided nations. Weapons of steel and fire, nothing compared to the power of the fleet. Humans should have fallen quickly, like countless other species before them. But these creatures did not break. They fought even when outmatched. They fought with fury, as if defeat was never an option. A council of alien leaders gathered around a great sphere of light. One spoke, its voice echoing like thunder. This resistance is not natural. They should fear us. They should kneel. Another hissed, they adapt too quickly. Every strike we make, they answer with something new. They are not like the others. The council fell into arguments. Some demanded total destruction of the planet. Burn the surface, leave nothing alive. Others warned against it. Earth was valuable. Its oceans, its resources, its strategic place in the galaxy. If destroyed, nothing would remain to harvest. But beneath the debate, one truth unsettled them. The humans were dangerous. On the ground, the battles continued. Alien patrol ships descended into cities, firing beams into streets and towers. Yet everywhere they landed, resistance rose. Human soldiers fought in rubble, using ruined buildings as cover. Guerrilla groups set traps, drawing alien soldiers into ambushes. Civilians threw fire and steel, refusing to bow. Every street became a battlefield. An alien captain watched through his visor as a group of humans charged with weapons made of metal tubes and gunpowder. Crude. Outdated. Yet the humans did not hesitate. They ran straight into fire, screaming, firing, refusing to fall back. The captain whispered in disbelief, "They fight like demons." Reports flooded the alien fleet. Losses in ground troops. Patrol ships destroyed. Shields weakening under relentless attacks. The numbers were small compared to alien strength, but the effect was heavy. The invaders had never seen a species fight this way. Every human loss seemed to fuel more resistance. Every death gave rise to 10 more willing to fight. On another world, long before Earth, a species had begged for mercy after the first strike. Another had surrendered before the first shot was fired. Entire civilizations had chosen survival through obedience. But not humans. Humans were different. The Alien Council replayed the human broadcast captured earlier. Across Earth, soldiers, children, old men and women had shouted into cameras and radios, "We will never kneel." The words echoed across the council chamber like a challenge. The commanders did not understand it. Why would a weaker race choose death instead of survival? Why would they prefer destruction over submission? The answer was something the invaders had never faced before. Humans did not fight only to live. They fought for pride. For freedom. For each other. Back on Earth, secret tunnels carried convoys of weapons to hidden bases. Engineers worked without sleep, building machines from scraps and captured alien parts. Hackers tested codes against alien signals, searching for weaknesses. Scientists studied wreckage from the fallen scout ship, learning in hours what should have taken years. The aliens saw this with growing unease. It was impossible for such a young race to adapt so quickly. Yet humans were doing it. Every battle taught them something new. Every defeat sharpened their claws. In orbit, the alien commanders finally admitted the truth to themselves. Humanity could not be crushed with fear alone. This would not be a simple conquest. It would be war. One of the commanders leaned forward, its voice low and filled with warning. If they survive, they will become a threat beyond this system. The galaxy must not allow them to rise. But as they prepared their next wave, their scanners detected strange activity beneath Earth's surface. Vast power surges. Energy fields gathering where no alien strike had touched. Something was hidden in the deep. Something the humans had prepared long before the first ship appeared. The commanders stared at the readings, their unease turning into dread. Earth had a secret. And soon, the galaxy would see it. Beneath the mountains of Earth, in chambers carved deep into the rock, giant machines awoke. Generators hummed with power, lights flickered to life, and long-forgotten tunnels shook with the sound of engines. Scientists and soldiers moved quickly, their faces tight with focus. The invaders thought Earth was weak, but they had never seen the true weapons humanity had hidden. Project Aegis. It had been built in secret for decades, whispered about only in the highest levels of government. Many had doubted it would ever be used. Some had said it was too dangerous, too untested. But now there was no choice. Humanity was standing on the edge of extinction, and Project Aegis was the only hope left. In orbit, alien ships tightened their formation. They prepared to unleash another wave, confident that their next strike would shatter human resistance. Their commanders still believed in their superiority, though doubt had begun to whisper in the back of their minds. Then Earth answered. From the hidden base, a colossal cannon rose, a barrel of steel and magnet coils stretching toward the sky. It locked onto the largest alien warship. Energy crackled along its spine. The very air around it bent and twisted as magnetic fields roared to life. Soldiers covered their ears as the sound grew, a scream of power that shook the mountains. With a flash brighter than lightning, the cannon fired. The projectile ripped through the sky faster than sound, faster than anything the aliens had ever faced. It slammed into the enemy shield with a force that shattered the barrier like glass. The alien ship trembled. Then came the explosion. A hole tore through its hull, fire spilling into space. For the first time, an alien battleship was not only damaged. It was dying. On the ground, humans cheered. Around the world, screens showed the impossible moment. People shouted in the streets, soldiers raised their fists, children cried with joy. The invaders were not untouchable. Humanity had struck back. But Earth did not stop there. Other hidden weapons came online. Smaller railguns fired from secret silos. Orbital satellites reactivated, their systems guided by desperate engineers. Even old nuclear missiles were launched, but not in the ways the aliens expected. Instead of being aimed at cities in the sky, they were detonated in clever traps, forcing alien ships into crossfire. Every strike showed the human way of war, creativity. Where other species had been predictable, humans were not. They used chaos as a weapon. They turned weakness into strength. If one missile failed, 10 more were launched in ways no alien could calculate. If one weapon broke, humans built another from scrap. The alien commanders were stunned. Their fleet was losing stability. Patrol ships vanished, caught in ambushes. Communication channels were hacked by crude human code that somehow slipped through their defenses. They tried to adapt, but the humans always changed faster. One alien officer watched as his systems filled with strange human signals. Old radio waves, noise from televisions, fragments of music, laughter, shouting, the beating of drums. It made no sense as strategy. Yet the signals carried something that shook even the aliens. Defiance. Above Earth, the crippled battleship burned. Its systems failed one by one. At last it split apart, breaking into 2 massive pieces that drifted into the void. Alien voices filled the command network, shocked and furious. Never in their history had they lost a vessel of such size. Never had primitives torn down gods of war. In the cities below, resistance grew bolder. Guerrilla fighters armed with captured alien rifles struck at ground troops. Civilians set traps in alleys, turning urban streets into killing zones. Engineers rushed to repair every piece of damaged defense. Humanity's spirit had been lit like a firestorm. The Alien Council watched from orbit, their voices uneasy. "This is wrong," one said. "This world should have fallen. These humans are not normal." Another whispered, "They do not fight for survival alone. They fight for victory." A single phrase spread among the commanders. Dangerous. These humans were dangerous. But the humans were not done. In a broadcast hijacked from the aliens themselves, Earth's leaders spoke with fire in their voices. "We are humanity. We are one. We do not kneel. If you come to take our world, be ready for war." The words echoed not only on Earth but across the galaxy. Civilizations watching in silence felt something stir. Hope. If humans could resist, maybe others could too. The aliens had come to conquer. Instead, they had awakened something far greater. Humanity was no longer only defending. Humanity was striking back. And the war had only begun. The war had dragged on for weeks. Cities still burned. Skies still shook with fire. But the world was no longer drowning in fear. Humanity had found its voice. The first victories had lit a fire in every heart, and that fire refused to die. The aliens tried to crush it. They sent wave after wave of attacks. They unleashed weapons never before seen on Earth, swarms of drones that rained lasers, machines that crawled across the ground like steel beasts, bombs that twisted air into storms. But everywhere they struck, humans fought back. Soldiers, scientists, farmers, even children carried messages through broken streets, refusing to give up. The invaders believed fear could shatter the human spirit. Instead, fear became fuel. Every fallen city was rebuilt into a fortress. Every destroyed building became a wall to fight behind. And every human death was answered by new warriors rising to take their place. The alien council grew restless. Their leaders demanded an end to this chaos. They could not understand why humans resisted so fiercely. On dozens of other worlds, a single display of power had been enough to force surrender. But not here. Earth had turned into a battlefield that refused to be tamed. So the aliens turned to words. Across every device, every screen, every voice channel, their message spread. A cold, heavy voice spoke in every home. Resistance is futile. Your leaders cannot save you. You will kneel. You will serve. The message played again and again. It echoed through broken cities and over silent fields. It poured into bunkers where families hid. It tried to break their hope. But then came the reply. On Earth's networks, a human broadcast cut through the alien voice. Soldiers stood in ruined streets, their uniforms torn and dirty. Children stood beside them, their faces bright with fire. Old men and women lifted their fists. From every corner of the planet, voices rose together, carried across the airwaves. We will never kneel. The cry shook the world. It reached into every heart. People poured from shelters. Fighters picked up their weapons again. The words became more than a phrase, they became a promise. The aliens listened in silence. Their commanders felt a chill in their bones, though they did not know why. Something in that human voice carried a power that their weapons could not match. On the ground, resistance groups grew stronger. Guerrilla fighters learned to hijack alien supply vehicles. In the deserts, humans used old tanks to smash alien patrols. In the forests, hunters set traps that destroyed machines twice their size. In the cities, snipers turned towers into nests of death. Captured alien weapons were turned back against their makers. Engineers broke them apart, learned their secrets, and built new weapons in hidden labs. Hackers cracked alien systems, feeding false orders into their networks, turning their own drones against them. The longer the war stretched, the stronger humanity became. In one bunker, generals and leaders gathered around a glowing map of Earth. Every red mark was an alien ship, every blue mark a human stronghold. The red still outnumbered the blue, but for the first time, the map was not filled with despair. There were victories now. There was hope. One general spoke, his voice calm but firm. We cannot fight forever. We must strike hard. We must strike once. If we do not, they will return with more fleets. His hand tapped a point on the map. We attack here. Their command ship. If it falls, the invasion falls with it. The room went silent. It was a desperate plan. A gamble with everything at stake. But there was no other choice. Humanity could not wait for mercy. Humanity would make its own fate. News of the plan spread through the ranks. Soldiers tightened their grips on weapons. Pilots prepared for missions they knew they might not survive. Civilians worked to supply food, fuel, and medicine. Everyone had a part to play. It would be all or nothing. One captured alien prisoner, bound in chains, spoke in a whisper to his guards. You are not like the others. You do not fear death. You fight like demons. His voice trembled. If you win, the galaxy will never be the same. Above Earth, the alien fleet continued its watch. They believed victory was still theirs. They believed humans would eventually break. But in the shadows below, humanity was preparing something far greater. A final counterstrike. One that would decide not only the fate of Earth, but the fate of every world watching. The night sky over Earth burned with fire. Alien warships circled the planet like vultures, their weapons glowing, their shadows stretching across oceans and continents. But on the ground, humanity was ready. The counterstrike was set. Every soldier, every pilot, every engineer knew this was the last chance. Victory or extinction. In secret bunkers, launch codes were spoken. Across hidden airfields, jets roared to life. In the depths of the oceans, submarines prepared their final payloads. Satellites shifted their orbits, locking onto alien targets. Even the broken cities came alive, their ruins hiding rocket launchers and railguns aimed at the sky. Then came the signal. One word whispered through the networks. Now. Humanity struck all at once. Railguns fired, their projectiles screaming upward. Jets streaked through clouds, releasing missiles in coordinated waves. Submarines launched torpedoes that rose from the sea like spears. Nuclear warheads detonated not on Earth but in orbit, tearing holes in alien formations. At the heart of the strike was Project Aegis. Its cannon roared once more, a blinding flash that pierced the heavens. The projectile slammed into the alien command ship, the vessel that directed the entire fleet. The shield shattered. The hull cracked. Flames burst from its sides. Alien commanders shouted across their networks, struggling to respond. But their systems were no longer safe. Human hackers had already slipped inside. False orders spread through the fleet. Alien ships turned their weapons against each other, confused and blind. The sky became chaos. Explosions lit the darkness. Battleships collided, drones spiraled out of control, fire rained down in every direction. Humanity had turned the tide. On the ground, resistance fighters pushed forward. In the cities, guerrilla groups destroyed the last alien ground forces. Soldiers raised human flags over rubble, their voices echoing with defiance. Civilians shouted from rooftops, cheering as alien machines collapsed in flames. The command ship groaned as explosions tore through its core. With one final blast, it split apart. The largest vessel of the fleet was gone. Silence filled the alien channels. The invasion was broken. The survivors of the fleet hesitated. For the first time, fear touched them. They had never known defeat. They had never faced an enemy that refused to bow. Now they faced something far worse, an enemy that had won. The order came. Retreat. One by one, the alien ships pulled away from Earth, their engines burning bright as they fled into the darkness. Humanity had done the impossible. It had forced the gods of war to run. But Earth was not silent. Across every broadcast channel, across every frequency, a new message spread. It was not from the aliens. It was from humanity. The voice was strong, clear, filled with fire. We are humanity. We are one. We do not bow. We do not break. If you come for us, be ready for war. The message did not stop at Earth. It traveled with the alien feeds that had been broadcast to the galaxy. Billions of eyes across distant stars saw the flames of Earth and the retreat of the fleet. Billions of ears heard the human voice, defiant and unbroken. On worlds long conquered, whispers began. If humans could resist, maybe others could too. On worlds long enslaved, hope sparked for the first time in centuries. And in the halls of the Alien Council, fear spread. They had wanted to make an example of Earth. Instead, Earth had made an example of them. In the quiet that followed, one alien commander spoke in a low voice. If they survive, they will rise. If they rise, they will rule. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity was dangerous. Humanity was unyielding. Humanity was free. And humanity was only just beginning.